Hi there, it's the 6th Sunday of Easter in the Western Church. In the Orthodox churches, it's actually Easter Day today. So in Oakley, where I'm recording this video, there'll be a lot of people that will be celebrating Easter today. But in the Western Church, it's 6th Sunday after Easter, and I'm going to do a short video reflection on the scripture readings that have been suggested for mostly Western Protestant churches to read today. So the readings are from Psalm 98, and the epistle reading is from First Letter of John, chapter 5, verse 1 to 6, and the Gospel reading is from the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 9 to 17. So feel free to pause the video and have a read of those and then start the video up again. I'm wondering, have you ever been out in the bush or in the hills or in the sea and felt overwhelmed with a sense of awe? Have you ever had the sense that the world around you is alive and conscious? I remember a number of years ago, I had the opportunity to travel to Lake Mungo with the Aboriginal Catholic Ministry. And that's the place on this continent where the earliest evidence of human beings has been found. There's bones and footprints. There's footprints that were made in the mud 20,000 years ago, including prints that were made by an amputee who was possibly running with the help of a stick. Because we know that because there's right-footed prints without any corresponding left-footed footprints. And there's also a burial site that's 42,000 years old, where it's clear that the deceased have been ceremonially buried. It's early evidence of human spiritual practice. I can remember being overwhelmed with awe by that place. I can remember being overwhelmed by the sense of millennia of human history, by the openness of the sky and by the starkness of the land. In the Uluru Statement from the Heart, First Peoples were saying that the earth is actually made up of the ancestors. Thousands of years worth of ancestors who've been buried in the earth of this continent. So the earth literally is made up of ancestors. The earth literally is mother. A couple of years ago, I was living in Preston, and a few days of the week, I was getting up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to ride to the other side of town, riding to Pran or riding to the beach at South Melbourne or St Kilda. If I was riding to Pran, it was so I could serve breakfast at Chapel Street at 6 o'clock. And if I was riding to the beach, it was to go swimming with a friend as the sun was coming up. Anyway, there was a lot of times that I rode from Preston down to the inner south. And I can remember one particular morning as I was riding down the bike track in the middle of the road, and having a sense of overwhelming just presence in the world around me. The presence of God and the earth and its creatures and the neighbourhood of humans around me. I don't think that this kind of awe is something that we often experience in the city, but the aliveness of the earth and all its creation is here in the city as well. During the lockdowns, I think we were more aware of the wild creatures of the city. We were more aware of the deer and the kangaroos that were coming into the city and the foxes that had been present all along. In my neighbourhood where I was living in Carlton, we saw frogmouths in the evenings, along with the familiar and easily overlooked possums and bats. But the creatures are there. And in the city, the wildness of the earth is really close to us because the city meets the sea. As a friend of mine was saying during the week, the shoreline is where two worlds meet, where creatures strange to each other encounter each other as neighbours. It's the place where we can enter the world of other creatures, where we're not in control, where things are unfamiliar, where there's different rules at play. And the creatures of the sea are strange. Did you know that hundreds of jellyfish drift into the docks each year at a particular time? Maybe they've come to the city because they have something to tell us. The ocean is so deep and unknown, and we're still finding out new things. meeting new creatures in the depths of the ocean. We've just recently found out about this creature that was found off the coast of New Zealand in really deep sea that looks to me like a blown up rubber glove, and the scientists don't know what it is. So strange they don't know how to classify it in their systems. Who knows what else is down there? In today's psalm, the earth and the sea and the strange sea creatures are praising God, and we're being invited to join them. The psalm talks about the ancient mountains and the mysterious ocean depths singing a new song. We're invited to join them with our own God-given voices and human-made instruments. The earth is praising God in anticipation of God's justice. This song is being sung in a situation where Jewish people have been defeated and displaced from their homeland, which has been desolated by war. It says that God is going to judge the nations fairly, and the earth is ecstatic in anticipation of that. The ocean can't wait and is shouting out in praise. This week, my church, the Uniting Church, along with the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church, were asked to come to the Yoorook Commission to account for the land that we've received in the course of colonisation, and to talk about efforts that have been made for reparations because of the church's involvement in colonisation. None of the three churches were able to say much that was very compelling about our efforts to return the land or to make reparations. In the letter 1 John, the ancient Christians are being told that if we love God, we'll love God's children. And the letter also says that if we love God, we'll obey God's commands. It's often been noted that the Christian missions taught Indigenous peoples, "Thou shalt not steal," in the language of the King James Version Bible. But that Europeans did not follow this command ourselves. When we're called forward and asked to account for the land we have and asked about what we've done to make reparations, and we don't have much to say, this is a witness against our faith. It shows that we don't really believe in what we're saying in Lent about repenting, about turning away from our sin, about turning around and going in the opposite direction. We can give up chocolate, but we can't give the land back. It shows that we don't love God because we can take the land from people who we believe are also God's children and not give it back. We'd not do that if we loved God, because if we loved God, we would treat them with love. We would not have taken the land in the first place. And if we found ourselves in the situation that we're in, where we know we've acquired the land dishonestly and unfairly, we would find out who we need to talk to about how we can make it right. I really feel like this is the greatest witness against our faith in this country at the moment. The invitation is still there. Gary Warriter Deverell, who is an Anglican priest and a Trulule man from Tasmania, has written in an article for the ABC about this, saying that First Peoples have been offering forgiveness and hospitality. He says, the paradox here is that Aboriginal people, most of whom have nothing to do with the church anymore, are very often better at following Jesus than settlers are. Our own dreaming traditions teach us to share what we have with others, to pool resources so that everyone may live both sustainably and equitably on the gift that is country. And God knows we've done far more than our fair share of forgiving. We can still accept the invitation to love. The love offered by Christ, the love offered by First Peoples, the love offered by the earth. We're still being invited to explore the possibility of a world where we're not in charge and we're not in control. As we walk the shoreline today, at the edge of an unknown world, I wonder, do we have the courage to dip our foot in the water?